Hey everybody, I'm dressed like I've been out in the garden because, well, I've been out in the garden today working on our boat. And what I'm doing now, this is a fun personal project for myself, which I've decided I'm going to do in between, continuing to work on my considerable backlog of paying work. But many of you who've been to the shop or seen my videos or worked with me in the museum will remember this Donegal tweed suit that I've had for the last 12 years or so. And it's something that I bought on eBay, right? Dead men's clothes, almost certainly. But I was struck by the images. I bought the thing. I had to alter it slightly to fit me. And it attracted a great many positive remarks, but now it's fit only to scarecrows. I mean, the elbow's worn out, seams are starting to go. There's a bit of mothing. I think something sharp caught me on the corner there. So it's due for replacement. So what I'm going to do, because again, my specialty is kilt making, and I can relate this, I can explain the series of steps to make a suit, but I've never made one myself. So I'm getting a bit of expert advice from my associate Parker McIntosh, and also from a book, How to Make Men's Clothes, which I'll include the publication details in the comments. And through a bit of, well, we'll call it research, but goofing around on the internet, I managed to find what I believe to be the very same cloth. And this is from a mill in Donegal, Ireland, called McGee, founded in 1866. And that to me looks enough. It's what we call a salt and pepper. Donegal tweed, a thornproof tweed. So I've sent an order off to the mill for rather more than I need, because the industry standard is 1.5 yards for a pair of trousers and 2 yards for a coat. And I've ordered doubled that because I'm going to experiment and learn on the good stuff. You can just, people say, well, you can learn on cheap material, but you're only getting half the lesson, because you're learning to work with that particular unsuitable material. You work with good material and you're learning the lessons. You're not learning 80%, you're learning 100%, because of the qualities of the cloth that you're going to be working with on the finished. So I can see myself drawing, as you can see right now, I've taken my measurements and I'm following the instructions in the book, plotting the trousers and laying them out. This is the front piece, and next I'm tracing this onto a larger piece that I can loft, to use a boat building term, but strike the pattern for the back piece of this. Now I'm probably going to do this 2 or 3 more times. I've got a lot of brown paper. I'm going to do this 2 or 3 more times until I'm satisfied with it. And it's funny how the only wasted knowledge is knowledge that you don't use. And I find myself, as I was cutting out this pattern and realizing from conversations that the cut has to be perfect, right? There can't be a ragged or a sharp spot. So it took me right back to kindergarten and being verbally abused for how poorly I was cutting things out in art projects in kindergarten. Because they used to, back in those days, they'd gotten away from giving you the strap across the hand for being left-handed. They would just ask you, they would give us left-handed scissors, and these things had no cutting edge, and they would just gum the construction paper horribly. So I would just, they didn't teach me, they didn't encourage, this didn't encourage me to become right-handed, it encouraged me to lie. I would just keep my mouth shut. They'd give me right-handed scissors and I would do a better job. And I'm still used to cutting with right-handed scissors. So yeah, so I'm probably going to strike the patterns as many times as it takes until I'm comfortable with the process, and then I'll move to the cloth. But here's the fun part. Come and see what I'm going to be sewing with, because in bespoke tailoring, details such as pockets, much of the tailoring, the lapel, and you can see this is actually hand sewn here. I can see the dimples on the reverse. So this, I googled the company information in the on the lining, and I can't find anybody. So I'm going to look for summary next. But Carter's of Salisbury evidently was the was the shop that sold it, but I'm gonna look up this other name next. But so far I haven't found anything. But 3-button suit. This thing's got to be 1960s, maybe earlier. But all of the much of the detail with bespoke tailoring, the buttonholes, the pockets, everything except the long seams will be done by hand. But follow me and I'll show you what I'll be doing the long seams on. Mind your step. When I was a boy, when I was a little boy, my grandmother had one of these upstairs in the kitchen. And she put the fear of God into me about the thing, because she'd related the time that she'd sewn across a finger and sewn her, put a needle through her finger. And I think she said this in order for me to keep my grubby hands off of it, because I was the sort of kid that was prying into everything in those days. Curiously, and well, coincidentally and gratefully, she's also the person who got me sewing, because I was about 4 years old and she was mending something and I wanted to be involved. And in hindsight, knowing myself as I do, I wanted to continue to be the center of attention. But I can still remember the piece of yellow satin and the rather oversized darning needle and the heavy linen thread that she showed me how to do a simple overhand stitch. And I can still see it in my mind. But in any case, her machine was given away after when she finally moved into a home. But this was recently, within the last couple of years, gifted to me by a friend. So I did a bit of refurbishing, and I've got the thing working again. This is hilarious because this is made about 1910. And it seems that the Singer sewing machines of this vintage, they're like the Model A Ford of tailoring, because you can get all the parts, everything. This leather, anything that wears out, you can get replacement parts. It's brilliant. But here's the nicest thing about this is, hold on, I'm still learning. Isn't that a quiet and wonderfully contemplative and almost hypnotic sound to listen to? I have for whatever reason, I have a minor trigger about machine noises. They bug me. I don't know why, but they do. But this, I find this wonderfully and as you can see, I'm pumping it with my foot. Right? I find it's wonderful. It's cordless, it's quiet, it's elegant. I love the decals. Evidently, as you can see, ancient Egypt was very much a talking point back then. So we have sphinxes all over the place. So yeah, within the limitations of its use, this is still cutting edge technology. It hasn't worn out, right? And frankly, all I need is a forward seam. I don't need to do zigzagging or any of that other stuff. So yeah, this project's going to take a while, because again, I'm fitting it in around the paying work that all of you people are being so very patient about, and thank you very much again for that. So there we go. This will be, we'll see how this project unfolds, shall we? Thank you.